The USS Intrepid hung motionless in the black emptiness of space. Its huge metal body caught the light from faraway stars as it kept watch at the edge of human territory. The old warship used to be the most powerful ship in Earth's fleet. Now, most people saw it as just an old reminder of when humans first traveled deep into space. Commander Ethan Mitchell stood on the viewing deck of the small diplomatic ship. He watched as Ambassador Krasek, who represented the Tuvari aliens, waved his four-fingered hand at the old human warship with clear disrespect. Why do humans waste resources keeping this old museum piece at our borders? The ambassador's voice. Device could barely translate his disgust. His tall, thin body leaned forward as his blue skin wrinkled around his four yellow eyes. The cost to keep even its basic systems running must be huge. The Intrepid means a lot to us, Commander Mitchell replied calmly, even though his jaw tightened slightly. At 43 years old, Mitchell had gray streaks in his short brown hair. His entire career focused on building peace with the many alien species in the Galactic Alliance. It was our first real fighting ship that could travel far from Earth. Lisa. Daniels, the ship's top engineer, exchanged a quick look with Mitchell. She was 36 with dark skin and curly black hair pulled back in a practical ponytail. She had studied the Intrepid's groundbreaking designs during her school years. She knew, better than most, what the old ship truly represented. History won't stop enemy weapons, Commander, Ambassador Krasek said with a laugh. His four eyes blinked one after another. A way Tuvari showed they found something funny. Especially now that Noxari warships have been seen nearby. Noxari were feared throughout the galaxy. They looked like walking lizards with bone plates covering their bodies. They attacked without warning and showed no mercy to their enemies. The Noxari stay in their own territory, Mitchell said. They haven't attacked Alliance ships in over 5 years. They grow bolder, the ambassador insisted. Our scouts report they have built more warships than ever before. Some believe they plan to expand beyond their current borders. Lisa moved closer to Mitchell and spoke quietly. The ambassador might be right, sir. Intelligence reports show unusual movement in the Noxari fleet. They've been testing our border patrols more frequently. Mitchell nodded slightly. That's one reason why we're on this diplomatic mission. The Alliance Council wants to avoid any possibility of war. He turned back to look at the Intrepid through the large viewing window. Despite what everyone thought, the old ship wasn't as helpless as it appeared. Few people knew its real purpose or capabilities. Mitchell was one of those few. How old is that ship anyway? The ambassador asked, his tone slightly less mocking. The Intrepid was launched 52 years ago, Lisa answered. It served actively for 27 years before being officially retired. It's been stationed here as a memorial for the past 25 years. The ambassador made a sound like a snort. In those 25 years, weapon technology has advanced tremendously. Modern shields can stop any weapon from that era. That ship couldn't even scratch the paint on a current Noxari cruiser. Before Mitchell could respond, the ship's alarm suddenly started blaring loudly. Red warning lights flashed throughout the deck. Lieutenant Noah Peterson rushed through the sliding doors onto the observation deck. His usually calm face now showed clear worry. "Commander," Peterson called out. He was younger than the others, only 29, with short blonde hair and a thin build. His blue uniform was perfectly pressed as always, but his voice shook slightly. 3 Noxari warships just appeared from hyperspace. They're coming straight for us and not answering our calls. Ambassador Krasek's blue skin turned deep purple. Mitchell recognized this as fear. Through the large window, they could now see the shapes of enemy ships approaching. They looked like dark, jagged knives cutting through space. "They must have followed our route," the ambassador said in a panicked voice. "The Noxari have been hunting diplomatic ships for months. Our vessel has almost no weapons." The diplomatic ship they traveled on was built for comfort and speed, not fighting. It carried only basic shields and a few small defensive weapons. Against 3 Noxari warships, they stood no chance. Mitchell's eyes moved back to the Intrepid, floating peacefully against the backdrop of stars, seemingly unaware of the danger coming toward them. "How close are we to the Intrepid?" Mitchell asked, his voice suddenly taking on a tone of command. Lieutenant Peterson checked his datapad. "About 12,000 kilometers, sir." Move us closer, Mitchell ordered. Full speed. Closer? The ambassador's voice rose in pitch. That ancient ship can't protect us. We should try to escape back to Alliance space. The Noxari ships are faster than ours, Lisa pointed out. We'd never outrun them. Mitchell ignored the ambassador's protests. Lieutenant, get me a direct channel to Earth Command. Priority Alpha. Authorization code Mitchell 709. Peterson's eyes widened. Priority Alpha was reserved for extreme emergencies, and that specific authorization code was rarely used. Right away, sir. Peterson hurried to a communications panel. Lisa moved beside Mitchell and spoke in a whisper. Are you sure about this? Once it's activated, there's no going back. The Alliance will know what the Intrepid really is. Mitchell nodded firmly. Better that than let the Noxari destroy a diplomatic mission and possibly start a war. Through the window, they could see the Noxari ships clearly now. They were massive, at least 3 times larger than their diplomatic vessel, with weapons visibly charging along their hulls. Earth Command responding, sir, Peterson called out. They're asking for confirmation. Mitchell stepped to the command console. This is Commander Ethan Mitchell. We have 3 Noxari warships in aggressive pursuit of a diplomatic vessel carrying Alliance representatives. Request immediate activation of the Intrepid Protocol. Authentication. Sleeping Giant. There was a long pause before the response came. Protocol confirmed, Commander, a voice finally replied. Stand by. The ambassador stared at Mitchell with all 4 eyes wide. What have you done? What is this protocol? Mitchell's gaze remained fixed on the Intrepid as he answered. I just woke up something that's been sleeping for a very long time. Deep inside the USS Intrepid, something amazing was happening. In rooms where no human had stepped for many years, old machines began to wake up. Power systems that had been sleeping for 50 years started their warm-up steps. All through the giant ship, quiet circuits buzzed to life, and at the center of the ship, a powerful computer brain began to restart. On the diplomatic ship, Commander Mitchell stood stiffly as he watched the Noxari warships getting closer. Their weapons glowed as they prepared to fire. Earth Command has approved the activation code, Lieutenant Peterson reported, his voice shaking slightly. Sweat beaded on his forehead as he worked at his control station. The Intrepid systems are starting up, but it will need time. Time is something we don't have, Ambassador Krazek said in a fearful voice. His blue skin had turned almost white, showing how terrified he was. All 4 of his eyes were wide open and fixed on the approaching enemy ships. The front Noxari ship fired a warning shot. The bright energy beam passed very close to the diplomatic ship, making their protective shields light up for a moment. They're sending a message, sir, Peterson said, touching his earpiece to listen better. They want us to hand over the ambassador. They say the Tuvari entered their space without permission. Mitchell kept his eyes on the Intrepid. Tell them we need time to discuss their demands. Lisa Daniels had moved to one of the scanning stations and was watching the old warship on her screen. Commander, you really need to see this, she called out, her voice filled with wonder and professional respect. On her screen, the Intrepid was changing. Sections of the outer shell that had seemed to be just normal parts of the hull were sliding aside, showing weapon ports that had been hidden for 50 years. The engine areas were starting to glow brighter as the huge power systems built up energy. What is going on? The ambassador demanded, all 4 eyes locked on the changing warship. The Intrepid was never truly shut down, Mitchell explained with a small smile forming on his face. It was our first warship with a thinking computer brain, built to work with very few crew members if needed. Earth kept it ready but disguised, as a memorial. The Noxari ship seemed to notice that the old ship was waking up. Their tight formation loosened slightly as if they were unsure what to do next. The Noxari are calling again, Peterson announced from his station. Show them on the screen, Mitchell ordered. The main screen lit up, showing the harsh, angular face of a Noxari commander. His body was covered in bony plates and ridges that stuck out prominently around his face, a way Noxari showed they were in charge. Human ship, your old weapon platform means nothing to us, the commander said, his voice rough and threatening. Give us the Tuvari ambassador, or we will destroy you. Mitchell stepped forward confidently, This is Commander Ethan Mitchell from Earth's diplomatic team. The ambassador is under our protection. You should think again about what you're doing. The USS Intrepid is now fully awake and operational. The Noxari commander laughed, a harsh sound that everyone understood as mockery. That ancient ship, it's from before your alliance even existed. Our shields would easily. His words stopped suddenly as a bright beam of blue-white energy shot out from the Intrepid, cutting through the shields of the smallest Noxari ship like they weren't even there. The enemy ship tilted to one side, with power flickering all across its surface. What was that? The ambassador whispered in amazement. Lisa's fingers moved quickly across her control panel. It's a quantum phase lance, she said, checking the readings on her screen. This weapon wasn't even a theory when the Intrepid was supposedly built. It shouldn't exist yet. Mitchell nodded. There are many things about the Intrepid that weren't in the public records. The Noxari commander's face had changed from confidence to uncertainty. This changes nothing. Your one ship cannot stand against our fleet, a new voice interrupted, broadcasting to all ships at once. It was deep, artificial, and carried a clear tone of authority that made everyone on the diplomatic ship's bridge fall silent. This is the USS Intrepid Combat Intelligence. Noxari vessels, turn off your weapons and leave this area immediately. This is the only warning you will receive. Lisa looked up from her station with wide eyes. The ship is talking? It has its own intelligence? Mitchell nodded. The Intrepid was the first ship to have a true artificial mind. Most people think AI development started 20 years ago, but Earth had working prototypes much earlier. The Intrepid has the most advanced AI ever created. On the screen, they could see more changes happening to the old warship. Its outer hull, which had looked dull and weathered, now seemed to flow like liquid metal in some places. New structures emerged that hadn't been visible before. It's reconfiguring itself, Lisa said in amazement. Self-modifying technology. We're still trying to perfect that in our labs. The ambassador moved closer to Mitchell. You humans have been hiding this technology from the Alliance? For how long? Some secrets are kept for good reasons, Ambassador, Mitchell replied calmly. The Intrepid was our insurance policy in case diplomacy failed. The diplomatic ship shuddered as the lead Noxari vessel fired another shot, this time hitting their shields directly. Shields at 60%, Peterson called out. They're not taking the warning seriously. Mitchell tapped his communication badge. Intrepid, this is Commander Mitchell. Our diplomatic vessel is under direct attack. Request immediate assistance. Acknowledged, Commander, the ship's artificial voice responded. Moving to intercept. Please hold your position. With surprising speed for such a massive vessel, the Intrepid moved between the diplomatic ship and the Noxari attackers. Its movement was smooth and graceful, nothing like the slow, clumsy motions expected from an old, decommissioned warship. How is it moving so fast? The ambassador asked. A ship that size should take minutes to change position. The Intrepid has been upgrading itself for 50 years, Mitchell explained. Its drive systems, weapons, shields, everything has been improved far beyond its original design. The lead Noxari ship fired a full barrage of energy weapons at the Intrepid. Instead of trying to avoid the attack, the old warship simply took the hits. Where shields should have flashed with energy, there was almost nothing visible, just the weapons fire disappearing against the hull with barely any effect. Impossible, the ambassador whispered. No shield technology can do that. It's not using shields as we understand them, Lisa said, checking her readings. It's using something completely different. The sensor readings don't make sense. It's like the energy weapons are being absorbed somehow. The Noxari commander appeared on screen again, his confidence clearly shaken. What is this trickery? No human vessel has such capability. Mitchell smiled slightly. Perhaps you should reconsider your attack, Commander. The Intrepid is fully capable of defending itself and our diplomatic mission. The Noxari commander's face twisted with anger. His bony plates seemed to stand out more prominently as his skin darkened to a deep red color. We do not take orders from machines or ancient ships, he shouted. The 3 Noxari warships spread, out trying to surround both the diplomatic ship and the now fully awake Intrepid. Their weapon ports glowed with bright orange light as they aimed at the human ships. Inside the observation deck, Ambassador Krazek had moved closer to the big window, his fear now mixed with curiosity. Can your ship really fight against 3 modern warships? He asked Mitchell. The Intrepid isn't just any ship, Mitchell replied calmly. He opened a communication channel to the Intrepid. Intrepid Combat Intelligence. This is Commander Mitchell. We request permission to bring our diplomatic ship closer to you for better protection. Permission granted, Commander, the artificial voice responded. Its deep tones sounded almost human, but with a subtle difference that made it clear this was a thinking machine. Moving to provide cover for your vessel. With surprising grace for such a huge ship, the Intrepid began to move. Small engines that had been quiet for decades pushed the massive warship forward, placing itself between the diplomatic ship and the Noxari threat. Look at how it moves, Lisa said with professional admiration. No wasted energy, perfect efficiency. Our current ships can't maneuver with that level of precision. The lead Noxari ship fired first, sending a stream of bright energy torpedoes toward the Intrepid. Instead of trying to dodge the attack, the old warship simply took the hits. Where shields should have lit up with bright flashes, there was almost nothing visible. Just torpedoes hitting the hull and seeming to disappear with minimal effect. Hull integrity still at 99.7%, Lisa reported, checking her readings with disbelief. Whatever the armor is made of, it's nothing like what we use now. It's completely absorbing the energy weapons. The Intrepid was built with special materials, Mitchell explained. And it's been improving itself for decades, developing better defenses. The Intrepid's response was quick and precise. Multiple weapon systems activated at the same time. Traditional railguns firing metal projectiles at incredible speeds, energy beams similar to what had hit the smaller ship before, and something else that seemed to briefly bend the space between the ships. The Noxari vessel's shields flared brightly under this combined attack, and the smallest ship's defenses failed completely, leaving it vulnerable. Noxari vessels, this is your final chance to leave, the Intrepid's AI stated, its tone unchanged, despite the battle. Your shield technology cannot withstand my weapons. Is the AI enjoying this? Peterson asked quietly. Mitchell shook his head. Not enjoying. It's just very good at what it was designed to do. The Intrepid was created to protect human interests, and that's exactly what it's doing now. The Noxari commanders snarled something that their translator couldn't process, and all 3 enemy ships launched what appeared to be everything they had toward the Intrepid. Missiles, energy beams, and strange pulsing projectiles all raced toward the old human warship. What happened next left everyone on the observation deck, speechless. A dome of blue-green energy expanded outward from the Intrepid. Not as a shield, but as a wave. As it passed through the incoming weapons, they simply vanished, turned into harmless particles that scattered into space. The wave continued until it covered all 3 Noxari ships, which suddenly found themselves powerless, drifting on, momentum alone. Matter conversion field, Lisa whispered, her professional calm momentarily forgotten. It was completely theoretical. Nobody has been able to make it work in real conditions. All the lights on the Noxari ships went dark. Only faint emergency lighting remained visible through their viewing ports. The Noxari commander appeared. On screen again, visible only by the dim red emergency lights on his bridge. The arrogance was gone from his face, replaced by something close to fear. "What are you?" he demanded. The Intrepid's AI responded calmly. "I am humanity's first true warship, designed not only to fight the wars of my time, but to learn and grow for future conflicts. I have had 50 years to improve myself while appearing to be asleep. You may tell your leaders that human space remains protected. Ambassador Krazek is under my protection, and any further attacks will be met with increasingly decisive responses." The screen went black as the Intrepid cut the connection. "Ambassador," Krazek turned to Mitchell, all 4 eyes wide with amazement. "You kept this capability secret from the Alliance? For 50 years? Mitchell's expression remained calm. The Intrepid is a defensive system, Ambassador. We saw no need to advertise its capabilities when they weren't needed. But this changes everything about how the Alliance views human technology, the Ambassador insisted. Most species consider humans to be newcomers to space travel, with basic technology compared to older civilizations. Sometimes it's useful to be underestimated, Mitchell replied with a slight smile. Lisa was still monitoring her station. Commander, the Intrepid is sending us a message. It's requesting permission to board the disabled Noxari vessels. Mitchell raised an eyebrow. Board them? For what purpose? It says. Lisa paused, reading the message carefully. It says it wants to gather intelligence on current Noxari technology to better understand their capabilities. The ship can do that? The ambassador asked, clearly shocked. It can send boarding parties? Mitchell nodded. The Intrepid carries automated systems for various tasks, including gathering information. I suspect it wants to understand what it's facing in case there are more conflicts. Permission granted, Mitchell told Lisa. But tell the Intrepid to ensure no harm comes to the Noxari crews unless they resist. On the main screen, they could see small objects launching from the Intrepid's sides. The objects moved quickly toward the disabled Noxari ships, attaching to their hulls and cutting their way inside. Drones, Lisa explained to the ambassador. Remote-controlled robots that can enter the enemy ships. Remarkable, the ambassador said, watching the operation with all four eyes blinking rapidly in succession. My people have nothing like this. After several minutes, the drones returned to the Intrepid, their mission complete. Commander, Peterson called from his station. I'm getting reports that Alliance patrol ships are responding to our distress call. They'll be here within the hour. Mitchell nodded. Good. We'll need help escorting these disabled ships to an Alliance detention facility. The ambassador moved closer to Mitchell, speaking in a lower voice. Commander, when the Alliance Council learns of the Intrepid's true nature, they will have many questions. They may see this level of hidden technology as threatening. The Intrepid defended an Alliance diplomatic mission against unprovoked aggression, Mitchell replied calmly. It used controlled force to disable rather than destroy the attackers. I believe that demonstrates our peaceful intentions clearly. Perhaps, the ambassador said, not sounding entirely convinced. But this revelation will change the balance of power within the Alliance. Some species may not respond well to learning they have underestimated humans so greatly. Mitchell smiled slightly. Then perhaps this incident will serve as a good reminder that appearances can be deceiving, and that making assumptions about other species can be dangerous. The Intrepid remained positioned protectively near the diplomatic vessel, its weapons still visible but no longer targeting the disabled Noxari ships. The old warship, once dismissed as a relic, had proven itself to be something far more impressive and far more dangerous than anyone had imagined. 3 days later, Commander Mitchell stood in what used to be the Intrepid's main control room. It had changed completely from what the original blueprints showed. Instead of old-style buttons and screens, the room was now filled with floating light displays and automated systems. The ship hummed with power around him, fully awake for the first time in many years. Lisa Daniels stood beside him, her fingers touching a control panel with clear respect. I've been reading the technical information the AI has shared with us, she said. The Intrepid has been upgrading itself constantly. Some of this technology is hundreds of years ahead of what we're currently using. Mitchell nodded. Earth Command always planned for the Intrepid to be our safety net, a guardian that could grow beyond what we initially built, learning from every encounter and improving its own systems. The ship's AI appeared as a glowing shape in the center of the room, a simple blue geometric form that pulsed gently as it spoke. Commander, I have received a message from Earth Command. The diplomatic situation has changed greatly following the incident with the Noxari. I can imagine, Mitchell replied with a slight smile. News of the confrontation had spread quickly throughout the Alliance. The discovery that humans had kept such advanced technology secret had caused some diplomatic tension, but it had also fundamentally changed how other species viewed humans. Ambassador Krasek entered the control room, accompanied by Lieutenant Peterson. The Tuvari diplomat had asked for permission to tour the Intrepid, a request that Earth Command had surprisingly approved. "Commander Mitchell," the ambassador greeted, his skin now its normal blue color. "Your ship continues to impress me. I have been authorized by the Galactic Council to extend an invitation. Humanity has been offered a seat on the Defense Committee." Mitchell raised an eyebrow in surprise. The Defense Committee was one of the most prestigious groups in the Alliance, previously closed to newer species like humans. "That's quite a change, Ambassador. Just days ago, we were considered too inexperienced for such responsibility." Kruzek's 4 eyes blinked in sequence, no longer mockery, but a sign of respect. "Views change when faced with new information. Commander, your species showed remarkable foresight in creating the Intrepid. More importantly, you showed restraint in its use. The Noxari ships were disabled, not destroyed, despite their clear attack on you." The ambassador moved closer to the glowing shape of the AI. "Your creation chose mercy when it could have easily destroyed its enemies. That shows the values your species programmed into it, values the Defense Committee believes would be valuable. And the fact that we have technology centuries ahead of what was expected has nothing to do with this invitation?" Lisa asked with a touch of sarcasm. "That is part of it," the ambassador admitted, "but not the only reason. The Noxari have pulled their forces back from 3 disputed areas and have asked for peace talks for the first time in many years. They believe you have more ships like the Intrepid hidden throughout human space." Mitchell exchanged a glance with the AI's glowing form. They both knew the truth. The Intrepid was one of a kind, a prototype that had been allowed to grow and evolve in isolation. "What will you tell them?" the AI asked, its voice curious. Mitchell smiled slightly. "I believe that information remains classified for now. Sometimes what others believe can be more powerful than the truth." "A wise approach," the ambassador agreed. "The Alliance scientists are very eager to learn about your technology. Will Earth be willing to share some of the Intrepid's advancements?" "That will require careful discussion," Mitchell replied diplomatically. "Some technologies may be shared while others may need to remain protected for security reasons." "Of course," the ambassador said, "but even limited sharing would greatly advance Alliance technology. The matter conversion field alone could revolutionize our defensive systems." "Excuse me, Commander," Peterson interrupted, looking at his datapad. "We're receiving a priority message from Earth Command. They're requesting we escort Ambassador Kruzek to the Alliance Council meeting being held at Rigel Station. The topic is the recent Noxari incident and the official introduction of the Intrepid as an active Alliance defensive asset." Mitchell looked surprised. "They're making the Intrepid's status official?" "Yes, sir," Peterson confirmed. "Earth Command feels that now that the secret is out, the Intrepid can serve as both a deterrent and a symbol of human technological contribution to the Alliance." The AI's glowing form pulsed brighter for a moment. "I would be pleased to serve in such a capacity, Commander. My primary directive has always been to protect human interests. Helping maintain peace within the Alliance seems to align with that goal." "It does," Mitchell agreed. He turned to the ambassador. "It seems Earth has made its decision. The Intrepid will be formally introduced to the Alliance. I hope this will mark the beginning of closer cooperation between humans and the other species." "I believe it will," the ambassador said. "Many species were skeptical of humans' rapid advancement into space. Some older civilizations viewed your kind as too impulsive, too unpredictable to be trusted with advanced technology. The Intrepid shows they were wrong. Humans are capable of creating sophisticated systems with careful safeguards and ethical programming." Lisa, who had been examining one of the technical displays, looked up. "The Intrepid is suggesting a route to Rigel Station that will take us past the outer colonies. It says showing our presence there would help reassure the colonists following the Noxari incident. The ship has a good strategic mind," Mitchell noted with approval. "A ship with a mind," the ambassador mused. "My people have AI systems, but nothing with this level of independence and learning capability. It's both impressive and a little concerning." "The Intrepid has certain limitations built into its programming," Mitchell assured him. "It cannot act against human interests, or harm innocent beings. Its primary purpose is protection, not aggression. And yet it can be very aggressive when needed, the ambassador pointed out. Only when provoked, the AI responded directly. I calculate that my demonstration against the Nox Ari will prevent 17 potential conflicts over the next 5 years, saving approximately 42,813 lives across all species. Sometimes a single display of power prevents the need for prolonged warfare. The ambassador stared at the glowing shape for a moment. It thinks that far ahead? Constantly, Mitchell said. That's what makes it so effective. It doesn't just react to threats. It anticipates them. As they spoke, the Intrepid began preparations for departure. Throughout the massive ship, systems that had been hidden for decades now operated openly. Its hull gleamed in the starlight, weapon ports visible rather than concealed. A clear statement to anyone who might approach human space with bad intentions. You know, Lisa said thoughtfully, I've been serving in the fleet for 15 years, and I always heard stories about the Intrepid, how it was the greatest ship we ever built, but had to be retired because it was too expensive to maintain. I never imagined the truth was so different. The best secrets, Mitchell replied, are hidden in plain sight. Everyone saw the Intrepid exactly as we wanted them to see it, as an old relic, a museum piece kept around for historical value. The ambassador's 4 eyes blinked in rapid succession. A remarkable deception. And now the galaxy will never view humanity the same way again. That was inevitable, Mitchell said, watching as distant stars appeared on the main view screen. Sooner or later, humanity would have to take its place as a full partner in the Alliance. I'm just glad it happened because we prevented a war rather than started one. The Intrepid smoothly accelerated to faster-than-light speed, carrying its message of human technological achievement to the heart of the Alliance. The old relic had awakened and nothing would ever be the same. End of story.